after we die, we become planets. So that
Facts
is
or
obvious.
no? Church?
What's that?
Facts or no?
That one I'm not on board with.
I don't want to be a planet.
Yeah. A prayer is just an authentic conversation with God. Like, but we have so many little phrases that so many people use in the church that sometimes prayers become a little cringy to me because I'm like, did you just say anything?
He was just yapping for a little bit.
Yeah. I think people get really caught up on semantics sometimes with like, what do you mean you know? Right? It's like, dude, it's just a word to me that means I think I know or I hope I know.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey guys, welcome to the Third Hour podcast where we talk about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, real issues within it, and church culture. So my name is Mimi Bascom, and I am your host, and I'm joined with a special co-host today. This is Tautai. You've probably seen him.
Back at it again.
Did you say sorry? Never apologize for being you, Tautai.
It's all right. I'm very second string today. You know, we all miss Eric. Like I said, we all miss Eric. So we miss you, buddy. But I'm glad we could be here.
No, we're excited to have Tautai, and you'll be seeing him in future episodes. He does a great job.
Stay tuned. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already.
Heck yeah.
You know, we talk about some good stuff. So tap in.
You know it. And we also are joined by our guest today. This is Taylor Church. Awesome. He is the podcast host of Stone and Clay. Mm-hmm. He's an author. He has so many cool experiences. So we're so excited to have you. Thanks for being here.
I'm excited. It's funny. Everybody, I have so many friends that just call me Church because that's my last name. You know?
Oh, really?
So when you said we're going to talk about church culture, I'm like, let's go. Talking about your boy.
Like, all about that.
The boy Churchy over here.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about your podcast and how you got into this world.
Yeah, I started my podcast in late 2019, and I just wanted an additional platform to be creative. I was already in the writing space, and I was like, you know, fiddling with like uploading YouTube videos, talking about random stuff. And I was like, why don't I just start a podcast? And then I just did. And yeah, I wasn't positive what I wanted the vision of it to be, but I just wanted it to be raw and authentic. And it was kind of also selfish, like a reason for me to connect with certain people that I wanted to talk to, you know, and an excuse to reach out to old friends, be like, hey, you want to be on the podcast? You know, let's catch up and let's dig into stuff. And so it's been a lot of fun.
So you started podcasts before it was cool, like before it was a trend. It
I mean, not really. I mean, listen, Joe Rogan started his podcast like in 2012.
Oh,
you know?
Shut up.
Yeah, podcasts have been around for a while, but I think they've gotten way bigger since like TikTok has gotten bigger. Yeah. Instagram Reels have gotten bigger because everyone sees the clips and everything. And the thing is, for the first year or two, I didn't know what I was doing, you know, really low sound quality, really low visual stuff. Like half my episodes I would upload. The other half, I'm like, that was bad. So yeah, I don't think I'm like super ahead of the curve or I would be more famous, but I'm pretty famous right now.
Yeah. Tell us about like the topics that you cover.
I don't like to have a strict theme. I like to just dig into whatever, but I tend to be interested in just kind of digging into the soul of people, you know? So we talk a lot about relationships and love and dating and mental health and just things people are passionate about, things people are struggling with. So I like to interview creative people. I've interviewed a lot of musicians, and yeah, I just like to know what makes people tick. But like, if people want to go off topic, I'll get weird with them. Like I did a full episode just about like Michael Jordan versus LeBron James, just because like my buddy's obsessed with that debate. And so
we all know the right answer is,
listen, it's Michael Jordan for your boy.
Okay.
But
well, we'll probably edit this part out because it's obviously incorrect.
Well, it's controversial, and so it's, you know, we want to be politically correct. We want to be inclusive. to the younger generation. But
I'm a very much. I see here that you. So I know you know what you're talking about because you coached basketball for 4 years.
Yeah.
There you
So
go.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you who the GOAT is. You answered incorrectly, but I'm
Right.
sure
See,
LeBron James won't watch it. So
this
it's
is why you can't really have this conversation in a few back and forths. You have to have a full episode.
You really do.
So
go
we
watch
could get
the
into
episode.
the
go
nitty
listen to
gritty.
that and get back to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we're not doing this here right now.
Yeah.
This is not.
We don't want to get contentious on our first collab with Taylor Church.
Yeah.
And then it says that you've moved around a lot. You lived in a lot of cool places. Seattle.
Yeah.
Where'd you live in Seattle?
I lived in Redmond, Sumner, West Seattle, and Bonnie Lake.
Where exactly in Redmond? Because I lived in Sammamish for a while.
Okay. I was a little tyke, so I don't really know.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, like I couldn't tell you. I could show you pictures, but yeah,
Dope.
I don't. Yeah, I moved. I was there till I was like 6 years old, and I've been back a few times. But yeah, I don't like have quite the pulse on Seattle.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But Utah's home now.
Yeah.
Is that like an intentional choice by you, or you're just here for family or work?
I don't think I came here accidentally. I think, my parents moved here in high school, and then I went to UVU, and now this is just where all my people live.
Yeah. I
So
get that.
it's a little colder than I appreciate, but that's my main beef with Utah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not a
Because
Utah hater.
I don't ski, I don't snowboard, and I think it's silly to be a Utah hater and live in Utah.
Facts.
Like,
I'm
Oh my
with you.
goodness.
there's something to hate about every place you live, but if you hate it so much, just go somewhere else.
You
Yep.
leave.
And
I'm with you 1,000%.
yeah.
That's actually our next episode. We're like diving into that. So,
Okay.
so we'll spare you that. I have a lot of opinions, but
yeah.
I wanted to ask you kind of a fun question too. So obviously you're an active Latter-day Saint, like you said.
Yeah.
We get a lot of judgment and stereotypes about our faith. I'm curious, like, what is the weirdest or funniest or your favorite stereotype that you've heard about the church?
Let's see. I feel like, I mean, you get weird different ones when you're like out of state or when you're traveling, right? So to me, there's a lot of like, oh, you guys have multiple wives.
Yeah.
You know, you guys do plural marriage or whatever. And what's frustrating is like FLDS is so darn close to LDS.
Very much so.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you have really limited knowledge about our church, you just, you hear some initials and you think what you think. But so that's kind of a funny one that's easy to like debunk. But sometimes, people think, oh, you guys don't drink caffeine. And I'm like, no, I run off of Mountain Dew.
Had an Alani yesterday.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Totally. No, it's so funny, like, especially out of state. Like you said, I grew up in Michigan until I was like 14. And I remember one of my friends at church was like, okay, this guy came up to me at school and he was like, your church says that you believe Jesus lives on the moon, on the dark side.
Haven't heard that one.
And I was like, that is really interesting.
That's some deep doctrine.
Right. I'm like,
some
maybe
Pink
it is, and I
Floyd
don't know.
doctrine.
Some DNC something in there. I don't know.
It's so funny because it's so funny. We have like some other ones from our audience that they've submitted,
Yeah.
but sometimes you can track them back. So like with the moon thing, I'm like, maybe that's like a collab connection.
Right.
I don't know, but like something with planets.
Yeah.
Someone submitted. So these are stereotypes they've heard about the church. Someone said that after we die, we become planets. So that
Facts
is
or
obvious.
no? Church?
What's that?
Facts or no?
That one I'm not on board with.
I don't want to be a planet.
Yeah. I want things to orbit me. Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
Right?
what about the devil horns?
Yeah. I would love to just see a picture, and then I might, open my heart to
That's
it.
not why you have the hat on. It's not like
No,
hiding your
take it
horns
off.
right now.
No, it's just cold outside. Yeah.
Mimi, is this one real? There's no way.
What one?
We can't use spoons or eat pie.
Yeah, the
Talk
person
about
who
the-
submitted that, they're
yeah.
like, what? They're like, where did this come from, do you
Excuse
think?
me. Yeah, no, I literally Thanksgiving and Christmas were just like happened. So
Yeah.
definitely divulged.
You spooned it up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can even use a spoon while eating pie.
Right.
You can go crazy.
This is some wild activity here.
Yeah, okay, my favorite one we choose white interiors for our homes to mimic the temple.
Listen, I'm sure some people do.
Some people probably do.
You know?
I didn't
And
think
that's,
about that.
yeah, that's the thing about, here's the thing about these myths.
Uh-huh.
It's like, if you grow up in Michigan or you grow up in Louisiana and you know one Mormon kid, and that Mormon kid is weird and came from a weird family and they do weird stuff. That's your only exposure to Mormonism.
Right.
That's your only exposure to the church. So to you, they're weird.
Yeah.
And I totally get that, you know?
No, it's so true. And I think with social media, it's just interesting how things have changed so much. And I feel like this younger generation is battling more people like coming at our religion than before, because like older generations, like people would check if they had horns or like say, oh, you have 5 moms or whatever. But I feel like now it's like, oh, you're in a homophobic, racist church.
Sure.
And that's just like the struggle with this rising generation.
Yeah.
So mad props to them. And I feel like with social media, hopefully it's something that we can do as members who aren't afraid to put ourselves out there, is show like, first of all, we can be normal. Like, of course,
Hey, we got 2 minorities
Latter-day
right here.
Saints, literally, right?
That's what us. Come on now.
Yeah.
We're both POCs. Come on now.
Yeah.
So I respect people like you and you who are like bold with their beliefs and like open to talking about it, because that's how we can really get past a lot of things too.
Totally. Yeah, I agree.
Awesome. Another thing we wanted to do with you is we have an advice segment on our show where we have people submit things that they need help with, or sometimes we find them online, like on Reddit or on our forum. And so we had this one that we wanted to run by you. Tautai, do you want to read it for us?
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, one of the viewers submitted this. My wife is at her wit's end. She is trying to be friends with like the other moms in the ward, and it seems that whatever she does, she can't break into the circle. She has been trying to start a play group for years, and no one has come, and no one's reached out from the Relief Society. Less than a month ago, after their youngest started all day school, after they started all day school, he found out that all the 8 and 10-year-olds mothers were inviting like a play date, and he was the only one like not invited. And so, yeah, they were just not informed about this play date that was going on for kids their age.
Yeah.
So, do you have like any advice or ideas for members who are trying to like fellowship with like, ward members?
That's tough. I think friendship is a lot like dating. It's like at the end of the day, you don't want to be friends with somebody that doesn't want to be friends with you, you know?
Fact.
And it sucks that there's, some exclusion there. There's maybe some pettiness. I don't know the background, but for me, like in the past, sometimes with dating, I've tried to like kind of bang my head against the wall, trying to make something work, when it's like, this girl's just not that into me. She's into me enough to entertain it, to respond to my text, to maybe even go out with me. But with friendship, like, sometimes those initial stages are harder because you don't know each other. You don't have any history. But for me, like if I was getting that resistance, I'd be like, all right, this might hurt, but like, I don't want to be involved. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing and maybe try to just build that friendship organically. Like if you're going to be in the ward and you want to be friends, like just be friendly at church, fellowship in any way you can. But like if you're not getting invited to stuff, like maybe you will down the road, like maybe that friendship just needs to kind of blossom before you get invited to more personal things. Like I have friends people that I've met a few times that I hope they never feel excluded, but sometimes like say they're at a dinner or something with me and some closer friends, and we like talk about something that they're not really invited to, and they might hear about it, but it's like, I don't feel bad because I'm like, we're just not really on that level yet.
Yeah.
Like, but we might get there. I'm not saying you can never come to our stuff, but like, I don't think you should apologize for having like closer, more intimate friends, if that makes sense.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. And I feel like if you feel like you don't have friends at church, you're not the only one who feels that way.
Sure.
My advice to this person or his wife would be like, yeah, you may not be in that initial group. And like, unfortunately, sometimes church can get cliquey. Like many churches do, I'm sure many organizations can. I don't think it's just an us problem by any means, but I just think that if you are feeling that way, there are other people who are too. So go find them. You may not be in that clique. Go find the other people who may be feeling alone just like you are and start your own thing,
Yeah, you be the friend.
Yeah.
You don't worry so much about being included and being befriended. You go be the friend.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I guess this kind of goes along with it too, but like to both of you, what would you say to someone who just feels like, I just don't fit in at church?
I would say, and I say this with all the love in the world, but I would say it just doesn't matter. Like that's, and most of it is in your head probably. Like there's always going to be people, like you said, it's not our church, it's not churches, it's just groups, organizations, demographics, cultures. There's always people that feel a little outside of things, right? Maybe they dress a little bit different. Maybe their hygiene's not great. Maybe they gave a really weird, uncomfortable talk. There's a million things, but when my attitude shifted in a really positive way, this was like 7 or 8 years ago, and I never felt super like outside of things at church, but I shifted my attitude from like, what can church bring me to what can I bring to church? Like instead of being like, man, I don't love the bishopric, like Sunday school's kind of whack right now, like there's no cute girls. Like instead of like thinking that way, I was like, that's such a selfish way of thinking. How about like, what am I contributing? What comments am I giving in Sunday school? How much am I preparing for talks? How much am I reaching out to people? So like it always hurts my heart when I feel like somebody feels like they don't belong at church, but ultimately you're there to like continue your walk with Christ. And obviously having a fellowship and having a brotherhood and having that family feeling is amazing. But if you don't feel it yet, just keep going and focus on you and focus on what you bring to other people, not what other people bring to you.
Oh, I love that so much. That's great.
I've never thought about that perspective before. Yeah. So what is something simple and easy that everyday member could essentially, like you said, bring to church?
Yeah. Bring bring the thought that, okay, there are people at church. Maybe you go to church feeling like, man, I'm an outsider. Like I got tattoos, or like I'm a convert. I got long dreads or whatever. This is a really clean cut ward, whatever. Or maybe you're gay. I don't know. There's a million things, but go to church thinking, who could benefit from my friendship today? Who could benefit from a small compliment from me? Okay. And then, in Sunday school, maybe I'm not good at commenting. Maybe that's not my MO, but let me try to be involved. Let me try to participate. Let me maybe get out of my comfort zone and answer a question. Maybe even just sit back and after class, compliment on somebody for having a good comment, So
that's so simple and easy though.
So simple.
You know what I mean? That's something that like is overlooked a lot,
Yeah, because for me, the times I've had negative experiences at church, it's been because I'm just totally thinking about what is the ward giving me,
Wow.
Like I didn't like the talks today. So-and-so taught Sunday school and I think they don't do a great job. And like, no one sat by me, no one talked to me or whatever. But it's like, dude, what did I bring? What did I do?
Yeah.
Woe is me, kind of thing. As he's so open about this, and I love it because you know what? I really do feel like people have that same attitude you have. Like, all right, Heavenly Father, I'm going to church. Like, give me some. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're looking to get something out of it, and that's fine. We're there to be spiritually uplifted.
Yeah.
But like, man, I can't tell you. Like, when you're teaching a lesson and no one's commenting, it sucks because you're like, help me out, brother. And like. You're just lucky, like you didn't have to be up here. You know what I'm saying? But that's so simple. Even just complimenting, like, "Hey, I agree with what you said in there." They're gonna remember that the whole Sunday.
Yeah, and I think so many people in the church and right outside of the church have problems with the culture of the church, right? And I'm like, okay, go fix it, go change the culture, because it's not it's not really appropriate for you to try and go change doctrine,
No.
but go, if you have trouble with the way things are running and you want the culture to be a little bit different, go try to shift it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. People complain about church culture. Like, we are the church culture.
Sure. Yeah.
Literally. We did it. So
Yeah.
if you want something changed, do it.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes people think like, oh, you have to be in a position of authority or be a bishop or whatever to do that. But I don't think so.
Sure.
I think specifically like with some people complain about the judgment in the church or being exclusive. Like those are things that we can do. And I love the examples you gave because that can play into all of our different talents. You don't have to be extroverted. You don't have to necessarily go out there and like make a comment. You can do things in other ways that are one-on-one. So I love that. That was beautiful.
Thank you. Cool. Appreciate it.
For sure. Okay. So you're on social media a lot, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen the trend ins and outs?
No.
Okay, that's all right. It's fairly new.
When I see a trend, I run away.
Okay, sorry. Well, we're bringing it to you now. You can't run away. We have you trapped here on Third Hour Podcast today.
Good.
So this trend is, since we're starting the new year, 2024. It's New Year's. It's pretty self-explanatory. We're gonna, like, what are things we want to keep in 2024, and what are things that we got to ditch in 2023?
Is this like personal or like as a church, as a
I think
culture?
we wanted to do what should we do?
It can be either church related, anything church related.
We'll do church related.
Okay, gotcha.
So I can give you an example to start. So we'll do ins and outs.
Yeah.
So an out for me is garment checking. Not just for me, but for like the whole church.
Oh, 100%.
We are not going to be zooming in on girls' photos on Instagram, seeing if, do they have garments on with those shorts?
Garments? Let me see.
No.
She's at the beach. Let me see. Of course, she's not going to be like, that's
absolutely
out.
not. That's an
That's
out for me
yeah.
for 2024.
Yeah. Gotcha.
An in for me is 2 Hour Church. Right?
Yes.
Let's keep that in forever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Literally.
Yeah.
That's an in for
And
me.
staying for both meetings.
Sure.
That could be a definite in.
That's
You're
an
right.
in.
You're right.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
How we
You
feeling?
got one?
What's some ins and outs for you, church?
Oh gosh. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Here's one. An in for me is not saying, please nourish and strengthen our bodies when we're about to eat donuts for FHE.
Oh my God.
Dude, that is a tale as old as time. Dude.
And this is a thing, it doesn't bug me that much because like I do it too sometimes, but I hate when prayers become just these robotic things.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like a prayer is just an authentic conversation with God. Like, but we have so many little phrases that so many people use in the church that sometimes prayers become a little cringy to me because I'm like, did you just say anything?
He was just yapping for a little bit.
Yeah. And like, here's what I would like parents to do. I would love if parents didn't like whisper to their kids prayers. Like, and a lot of parents do this, and I love the sentiment behind it, right? They whisper like, dear Heavenly Father, and the kid, dear Heavenly Father. And they just, that's them teaching them how to pray, right?
Why don't you want them to do that?
Because they just get ingrained a few phrases and they just say them kind of robotically. And that becomes in their system, and they just say without even ever thinking, nourish and strengthen our bodies, do the good that it needs, dear kind of heavenly and gracious Father, they just say these rote things without it being an authentic conversation with God. And I would rather teach my kids like, hey, a prayer, teach them the basics, you say, dear Heavenly Father, or say, dear God, whatever. And then say what you're thankful for, say what you're grateful for. And when they're really small and they can't really do it, let them have a mess of a prayer.
Yeah.
Let them say,
wow.
My niece says, my niece is 7 and she says, dear kind and heavenly Father. But yeah, have them have an authentic conversation. And then I think when they're an adult and they're speaking on the pulpit and stuff, their prayers can feel a little bit more intimate, a little more real. Yeah.
I'm so glad you said that. No, I love that. And I feel like there's so many people who are intimidated to give prayers in church because they feel like they're going to say the wrong thing. And I was one of those people. Like I grew up like raised by a single mom, and she's amazing. She has such a strong testimony and she did her best. But like I feel like there were some cultural things, like she was a convert. So I like literally it was just my mom and my sister and I, we were the only members in our family. And I was always nervous to give prayers in church because I was like, I just feel like I don't, like there's phrases people say. And they're even like when they're starting their prayer, ending their prayer, they would say like, instead of just the name of Jesus Christ, amen, they would say like, our kind and gracious, whatever. Like they add stuff.
Yeah,
and I was like,
adjectives like crazy.
Yeah. Which like, it's fine if that's your way to worship and everything. But I just feel like, I love what you said about just like teaching it to be really authentic, because I think that will help. If we can improve that in our culture, it'll help people be less intimidated to like get up there and give a prayer, because there's no right or wrong way of doing it, really.
And for me, I try to, when I'm giving a prayer, I try to not do it like swiftly. I try to just think about what I actually want to pray about, instead of like kind of having it like already prepared in my mind. You know, that's to me, that's more of like, it's more of like a Catholic prayer, honestly. You know, a Catholic prayer is a memorized prayer, and there's nothing wrong with that, but that's more like a mantra, you know? Yeah.
I love that.
To be honest, I'm going to tell you how my prayers go sometimes. Heavenly Father, hey man, like I like literally in my mind, like I have a conversation with him, like how I talk. And I'm sorry if that's like blasphemous or whatever. Like I try to talk respectful, but there's sometimes on my knees, I'm like, hey bro, like my fault for this today, man. Like it is really going hard. Like I literally talk to him. And I know prayer is supposed to be sacred because you're literally talking to God, but that's how I feel like when I'm talking to him. You know, and like in the MTC, we were ingrained like thee and thou. You know, like if you're not using those, you're not praying correctly. It's like, you know, that's my conversation, not yours. Like, leave me alone. You know what I mean? So that's cool. I allowing your kids to quote unquote mess up the prayer, I don't think that's bad at all.
No. And I don't know if I have authority to say this, but in my opinion, I would say that God probably prefers your kind of prayer over just the vain repetitions. Like I feel like he wants to know our heart. And if that's like not always using the formal language, I would, based on what I know about him, he's cool with that.
Facts, So recap. So I think that's an out actually for you. So your out is robotic. Your out is robotic prayers.
My in was authentic prayers.
Okay. So in is on authentic prayers. Out is robotic prayers.
Love that.
I said the other day I was praying in the car and I said something was sus.
You know?
And I was like, I don't have time to say suspicious.
I'm dead. No, but it's true. Like those real one-on-one conversations with God. And I feel like a lot of other people too, like who might not be members of the church, they might not understand like what prayer is to us and what we know prayer to be. You know what I mean? And like you said, I agree with you. Like robotic, like word for word, bar for bar prayers, like this just doesn't hit the same.
Totally. Something I've been trying to work on, so we'll say this is an in for 2024, is I heard somebody say that before every speaker, he prays to not judge the speaker.
Wow.
And I thought, what a cool idea, because it's so easy to do, you know? And especially in our church where we don't have, like a lot of churches, their speakers, that's their job. You know, they're professional pastors or ministers. That's what they do. So they're great speakers. You know, you go to an evangelical church, like even if you don't agree with the dogma, you're like, well, that's a good speaker. You know, they know how to command an audience. That's not our church. We're all volunteers. And so a lot of speakers aren't good speakers. And that's fine. You know, it's cool that we give them a chance to speak. It's cool that they have an opportunity to express themselves. But like I struggle sometimes, like I struggle with the vain repetitions, right? I struggle with inauthenticity, but some people, like, they're so nervous. They're so like, they've given 2 talks in their whole life. Like I can't be judging them. I have to just try to connect, try to feel the Spirit and not worry about how it's being presented, you know? But I struggle with that. Anytime the rhetoric is a little off, I get a little cringe in me, but that's not what it's about. You know, so, but I need that prayer to to not judge the speakers, because it's unfortunately kind of a default setting of mine.
I'm going to start doing that too.
Yeah.
That's such a good idea. I love that.
I have an out as well.
Okay.
And an in, actually. So in for me is pretzel jello. I don't care what anybody says.
Excuse me.
In.
What?
That's in.
No, what is that?
Pretzel jello, the one that every Relief Society mom makes.
Girl, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, you're missing out. Church, help me.
Wait, pretzel jello
I've seen
in the
it.
jello?
I don't know that it's in for me, but I don't have a strong opinion.
Dude, the crust on the bottom, jello on the top. Mimi, you're missing out, girl.
I know.
Girl,
like, give me a
ask
definition.
any Relief Society president or any woman in the church, they know pretzel jello. Oh, trust me, they do.
So it's pretzel on the bottom?
Correct.
And jello on the top?
Correct.
There's
With
no
whipped cream on the
pretzels like
top.
mixed in.
No, it's the base on the bottom. It's a very FHE young woman's-y thing, and it's
not
valid.
like a poly thing. It
No,
sounds like a
definitely
white
not.
thing.
It is a white thing. I grew up in a white ward. We know this.
Okay,
no,
see,
and
but
it's
I've
stuck
never...
around.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds better than like the fruit, or what is it? The fruit jello? I don't know. I'm not down for all those jello things,
You
but
think those are out?
that is an out for me. The green jello, that's an out. Any jello is an out for me. But I mean, we can disagree. Yeah. Pretzel jello sounds better than some of the other ones.
No, that's definitely an in for me, for sure. For sure.
Okay, what's your out?
It's kind of church. No. Excuse me. It's like kind of Utah-ish. But like every Mormon mom has one. These Stanley Cups gotta go, man. That's out, girl. I'm sorry.
Okay.
If I see another one of those, I'm gonna lose my mind. Church.
Here's the thing. I own a Stanley Cup because someone gave one to me.
Right.
And they're great. They keep your drinks very cold.
They really do.
I'm here to tell you. So I just don't carry it around with me everywhere.
Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah. A lot of girls, like, it's almost a part of their personality.
Okay.
See,
that's fair.
See, you
That's
see where
fair.
I'm coming from.
Mm-hmm.
That's such a basic
Thank you.
like thing to have any sort of attachment to.
Exactly.
It's just a drink.
It's just a drink.
Yeah.
And it's not even the Stanley Cup it's the contents within. It's like a person. It's like, their outside don't matter. It's what's inside that really counts.
Listen, I'm happy for you to stay hydrated.
100.
I'm happy for you to keep your drink cold. I take my Stanley Cup to the gym just because I like to have cold water.
Yeah.
But I put it in the little cubby. I come back to it when I need it. I
you.
don't just take it to all my...
Thank you,
That's
church.
so inconvenient. Just take it to all the different...
I feel like that's way more inconvenient.
Okay.
Because I got to pick it up after each lift.
Hey, thank you.
Okay, I'm
And-
going to insert myself in defense of the Stanley Cup.
Sure.
First of all, mine is a knockoff Tautai, okay? Because
all right.
this
Good
is
words.
not...
No, just kidding.
But I will say, there are people who wonder what is so good about them. Like you said, they keep your drinks cold.
Sure.
You put ice in them all the way. They stay cold all day, okay?
Okay.
The straw is very convenient. It makes it easier to drink more water and stay hydrated. It has a handle. Here, I agree with you that it shouldn't be a part of your personality. It's literally, it's the new thing.
If
Remember?
it is, just check yourself
Yeah.
and look for some new hobbies.
It shouldn't be like a
You're
status symbol.
You're better than this. This does not define you.
Yeah.
Because I feel like people, like, they can't see it as a status symbol, like, because they're kind of expensive. And so I feel like that's almost like a thing.
Oh,
And like people have all the different colors and like you want all, like, I have like 2 or 3,
You
but
don't
they're
have a collection,
knockoffs. Like,
do
I
you?
did not pay.
It's the collection
It's
for
the
me.
collection.
It's the collection
Collection
for
can
me.
be tough.
I get why they're good cups and people
Sure,
like them, but
yeah.
it can't be who you are as a person.
Yeah, if I'm scrolling through your gram and there's a Stanley in 80% of your photos,
In the photos?
I'm just saying.
I'm telling you, no, he's valid. No, I'm serious.
That's
Like, it's kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So that's out,
my
right?
gosh.
I mean, to me, the cup's not out, but the obsession.
The obsession is out.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Mutual agree? Can we
Okay,
agree on that?
okay, I'm with you.
Okay, sounds good.
She's going to buy a couple more this year.
I know, seriously.
Here's an out. I don't know if you guys are going to be on board for.
Go ahead.
Church ball. Like, do any
Yo, what?
wards
Pause.
even do church ball anymore?
You're talking to a high school
I
basketball
know, but
coach
like, when is
and
the
someone who loves basketball.
does your ward do it?
Like organized church ball, like games, or just like
Yes.
balling in the church?
No, okay, that's different. Balling in the church is one thing,
Okay.
but like organized church ball.
What's wrong with that?
But like, no, nothing's wrong with it. But I haven't seen it since like COVID. Have you?
Church?
Like, does your ward do it?
I honestly like never played organized ward ball because I was always like playing high school ball
You're
or
too
like
good.
playing.
Yeah.
Well, no, not that I was too good, but like even now, like I play a lot of city league and stuff.
Okay.
So I'm like, I don't want to go play just some bad ball usually with just a hodgepodge of guys.
Yeah.
Like I'll go play pickup, at the church for sure. But I think it's just kind of regional. I think some places they are more organized about it. I don't think it's like out.
Mimi, you see, these kids look forward to March Madness every year.
No,
you don't
that's
want them to have their
fine.
March Madness?
They can have their March Madness. I'm just saying I haven't seen it organized in a ward in a really long time. And I was talking to someone recently and he was like, same. He's like, I don't know what happened to church ball. It's like not a thing anymore.
Well, so I'm Polynesian.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. We can get very competitive, even in the Lord's house. We get pulling inside. I know you've run into some of those. And like, that's probably why you haven't seen it, because it's probably been disbanded throughout some of the churches, because, people just, like, even the spirit can leave in the church gym sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, when it gets too competitive. No, seriously, like fights break out and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
No, so I wonder if that's actually why. Like, it hasn't been a thing.
Yeah.
Because we
Maybe.
still have, like, the basketball courts. I think that won't go away because
Right.
people use
never.
them and it's great. But I haven't seen, I wonder if it is because it's gotten too intense.
Yeah.
It's
Maybe.
probably your fault, Tautai.
Yeah.
My people's fault. Be better, my Usos. Yeah. That's an in for me still.
Yeah.
You start it in your ward. Okay, same with ward choir, though. Because I know, okay, you guys are really into music too.
That's
but
different though. No, but you're talking about ward choir
ward
specifically.
choir, my mom's ward has it. But like, I haven't been in a ward that's had ward choir, I think, since COVID as
really?
well.
Yeah. I don't know. My ward has choir.
Oh, it does?
Yeah. I don't.
Okay.
I don't sing, but yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I wish you were like a secret singer, like in High School Musical, Zac Efron, the
Yeah.
basketball star.
Oh my gosh,
sings.
yeah. Double time.
Yeah. No, I have a lot of musician friends, but I just listen to music. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I respect it.
Who's your top 3 artists right now? Who are your artists that are in this year?
I really like Nightly.
Okay.
Um,
Familiar.
I really like the 1975. And let's see. I really like this little band called Bear's Den.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds cute.
Yeah, it's very cute. Yeah.
So they're like very indie. I feel like you're.
Yeah, they're very they're kind of a British kind of folksy indie alternative. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Dope.
Love that for you. Try to get them to like collab with Motab or something. I feel like that would be a fun like.
I don't think
new thing
anyone's
they could
trying
do.
to collab with Motown.
Yeah. I think they don't want to collab with anybody either.
Yeah.
They've done stuff.
Have they really?
They've done stuff with like David Archuleta.
Oh, true. I forgot
Yeah.
about that one.
Yeah, the few token LDS artists. Yeah.
Yeah. Osmonds.
Yeah.
Any more ins and outs, you guys?
Okay, let me see.
Church, any ins and outs come to mind?
I'm in this year. I don't know.
You say you're
Yourself,
in.
you are in this
Yeah.
year.
You are in this
Taylor
year.
Church is in this year.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Love it.
one last one. This is also kind of a hot take. I want to get your guys' opinion on. Out is turning down callings. Now, let me say, I know there are some specific cases where we should turn down callings if like the bishop called us and didn't know our specific circumstances and we're just like physically like not able to or spiritually not able to. But I have a testimony, not to make this super spiritual. I mean, it is a church
Go
podcast.
ahead. No, go ahead.
But I believe that we're called to serve for a reason and it's from God. And I just feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm too in like the LDS social media space, but I feel like lately so many people talk about how like, we have agency in callings, like you can always turn down a calling. And I'm with that, like you can, but I feel like a majority of the time you should accept the calling.
I'm
if
on
it
board.
works for you,
I'm on board.
I feel like that is a very personal thing. So I feel like that's a great philosophy for yourself. For me, like, I think it's bad culture if you feel like you have to accept a calling
Okay.
when maybe you're not ready or maybe
Yeah.
you're not comfortable. And I think it's up to the bishop to have that discussion with you and say like, okay, let's talk about maybe why, or maybe why you're not ready. And like this is a little bit different, but this was a cool experience I had the other day. I was with I have some friends in this band called The King Will Come, and they're like a Christian collective. So they're like kind of half LDS, half Pentecostal.
Oh, cool.
And they do these kind of worship nights, and it's kind of multi-denominational. It's kind of interesting. But one of them, I was just hanging out with them, and one of them was like, Hey, Sean, would you be down to give the opening prayer to get us started? And he's like, nah, I'm good. Like, yeah. And I talked to him afterwards. I was like, bro, I love that you said no. Why did you say no? It's just a prayer. And he's like, bro, I wasn't feeling it. Like, I was not, like, it wasn't going to be from the heart. And I loved that response. And I think ultimately you have an attitude of, let me try and serve when and where I can.
Yeah.
But I think you shouldn't feel pressured to say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is such a good point.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's my personal testimony too that God enables whoever he calls.
Sure.
So yeah, you might not feel worthy at the time or whatever's going on, but I think that like if ultimately you end up not taking the calling or you don't accept the calling, I think it's a good reminder that God told Bishop like, hey, so-and-so needs to, like, could serve this calling maybe eventually. So even though you turn it down, you're like, like God trusted me enough to be the leader of this group or be in the nursery even or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
What about this? Normalize like not accepting a call on the spot, because I feel like that's kind of been the culture. I don't know about you guys, but like anytime I've been offered a calling, I've felt like I've had to say yes or no right then and there. And maybe that's partially on me for not being like, hey, I want some more time to pray about this and think about this. But I've always felt like I need to say it right then.
Yeah. I think that's part of the culture. It's not like in the handbook it says like, when extended a calling, make sure you respond within 2 minutes.
Right.
You know, make sure you don't think about it. So yeah, I like that. I think, ultimately it's your journey with God, right? So I think even if it kind of bugs a bishop or a bishopric, like if that's what you feel good about, just do it.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Speaking of relationship with God, right?
Yeah.
You want to ask him or the question? Or?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the topic we would love to talk with you about today is something, again, inspired kind of what we've been seeing on social media lately and questions we've been getting of like, how do you know God is like actually there and we're not just gaslighting ourselves or convincing ourselves to believe that he is because we want to believe?
Yeah.
Do you have any opinions on
unless
that?
like right here on our 3rd hour podcast, you can prove to us that God really exists, I'm all ears.
I might have to get something out of my car for that. No, this is a really complex question, right? This is
why we need.
This is deep. Let's see. To me, I have a shorter answer and a long answer. The short answer is I don't know with an absolute certainty, right, that God exists. But that is because I don't really have an absolute certainty of anything, you know? You want to talk science? I don't have an absolute knowledge of any scientific fact. I'm not a scientist. And I don't understand it, you know? I actually, if you will indulge me, I wrote this little piece about this very thing. It's not very long.
Perfect.
But I was kind of grappling with that question, like what does it even mean to say I know God exists, right? That's another thing that people love to say in their testimonies on the pulpit, you know?
Yep.
And let me get your guys' take while I pull this up. Yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on that?
Oh,
I can go first. Yeah. No, and to be honest, bro, like I'm glad that you're here because I'm actually with you on the fact that I cannot look someone in the face and say 100,000%, yeah, God is real.
Yeah.
Shocking. Oh my gosh, I've been a member of the church my whole life. It's like, dude, like, what's the point of faith then? You know, if I knew God existed 100%, I'm like, what's the point of this mortal life and having faith? I'm not a scientist either. I don't even know a lot about the like a deep doctrine about the church, but to me, like, it just doesn't matter that much. And to your point, maybe like at least for me, gaslighting myself, like there's just been too many life experiences. You know, when you look at the world around you and how it's designed, like that's enough proof evidence for me. Like, no, like, And when we read scripture, created in his own image, yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think people get really caught up on semantics sometimes with
Correct.
like, what do you mean you know? Right? It's like, dude, it's just a word to me that means I think I know, or I hope I know.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, here let me read this. It's only a couple paragraphs, but I start out with this quote by Dostoevsky. He said, "I seem to have such strength in me now that I think I could stand anything, any suffering, only to be able to say and to repeat to myself every moment, I exist. In thousands of agonies, I exist. I'm tormented on the rack, but I exist. Though I sit alone on a pillar, I exist. I see the sun, and if I don't see the sun, I know it's there. And there's a whole life in that, in knowing that the sun is there." And so that made me think kind of like, what's your faith or your testimony in the fact that the sun is there? You know, how much do you really know the sun is there? You're like, well, I see it every day. I don't really know. They tell me the sun is this far away. There's telescopes, whatever. I don't know, right? So then I said, do I know with a capital K that God is a thing, that God is an entity and power and force, and as sure and tried and unequivocally real as anything I can conjure up in my brain or see with my very limited eyes? I sure as heck think so. I said hell, but I even think so. I even think so deeply that I'm comfortable saying the word no. And I'm comfortable thinking that I know and assuming that I know, and even comfortable saying that I know that I know. Is there a chance I'm wrong? Does that possibility change if I choose to not consider it? Probably not. Alas, I've made my decision, and I can't say when I look at the sky that it isn't blue. I can talk myself out of it, or listen to people tell me my definition of blue is wrong, or skewed, or antiquated, or too nuanced for me to understand, and that maybe I shouldn't so flippantly mention the color of the ethers with such pronounced arrogance, but again, I'm comfortable doing so. So,
who was that by?
By me.
You wrote that.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's beautiful. No,
I think
like,
we can wrap up the episode. That's all we needed.
That was. I don't think I've heard anything poetic in a while.
That was really.
Thank you.
Really
I appreciate
good.
it. But yeah, it's like, yeah, dude, I don't know what I know, but I think I do, and I hope I do, and I don't really care about anything else.
Dude, if everyone just had that mindset, dude,
Yeah.
like I feel like everyone would have a better understanding of faith, belief, religion, church in general.
And I don't feel like you need to defend your beliefs, you know? If someone's like, well, what do you mean? Just be like, I mean, that's what I believe, bro. That's what I... And they're like, well, how do you know? Be like,
tell me now.
like, maybe I don't, but I think I do, you know?
And what's wrong with that, though?
Yeah. And who's like living a happier, more peaceful life?
Yeah.
Like, I love that you said you hope, because that is one of the core, you know, faith, hope, and charity. And like Tautai, you said, if we just knew 100%, that wouldn't require any faith at all.
Yeah.
And we also know that we're asked to hope. And I hope that my knowledge of the gospel is correct.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a way to 100% prove it unless the second coming happens during my lifetime, which I'm not depending on. It'd be cool.
Sure.
But I have hope that it's true. And like maybe people argue like, oh, you're just like talking yourself into it because you want to believe. But like, yes, I want to believe. When we read the Book of Mormon to find out if it's true, we're asked to have a desire, you know? You need that element. You can't just be like, I'm just going to figure out if this is true, and whether or not it is, like, I don't care. I'm going to do my own thing. Like you have to want it, and you have to have that hope. That's an important element.
Yeah.
Choose to believe rather than, you know, like I'd rather be a believer than like a disbeliever in anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Both sides, of course. Like you mentioned, like I'm not a scientist, so I can't prove scientific facts. Like I never saw Joseph Smith. I don't know if he saw it or not, but you can't disprove that he didn't either.
Sure.
So everything can fall under that realm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
So it's just what side you fall on.
Yeah.
It's interesting though, because I was thinking about this when you were talking about your experience too, is we have like, you know, these personal experiences to us, but I feel like so often we see people leave the church and thinking back on those personal experiences they've had with the Spirit, they're kind of able to talk their way out of it and be like, well, I thought that was the Spirit, but it must have been something else. What would do any of you have thoughts on that?
Again, that's their journey, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if like life is so hard to continually find joy and to continually like find purpose. And if you can't seem to find it in the church, go try to find it, you know? And I think if you have that burning desire, like you'll make your way back, and maybe you won't. But I think God will make up for everything on the other end, you know? Like I don't worry too much. I used to get way too worried about friends or family that have left the church. Mm-hmm. Like it used to, I don't want to say bother me, but it made me really sad. It really broke my heart. And I just realized that like, there's really no utility in that, right? Like oftentimes me being sad or brokenhearted, that comes across as judgment to these people that have left the church, because they're like, I don't want your pity. I don't want you feeling sad for me. I'm happy now. Right. And so I don't focus on like where someone is spiritually. I just focus on my personal relationship with them. And if they like, do I want them back in the fold, in the brotherhood? Yeah. But that's really between them and God. And whether they're in or out, even if it's a close family member, it's really not going to affect my life that much. Like that's my walk with God. Mm-hmm. That's their walk with God. And I'm just so confident that in the next life, like things will be taken care of. Yeah. That it's a bit of a fool's errand to just like worry about it so much.
Yeah. Because what are you going to do to impact their relationship with God anyway? Like it's literally, there's nothing you can do at that point. Even if they were to come back and you were a good example, whatever, they made that decision to come closer to God, not because of what anyone else did.
Yeah. Yeah. My like goal I always have is to be someone that people feel comfortable talking to about whether it's coming back to the church or leaving the church or anything in between. I want them to feel like, oh, Taylor's someone I can go actually talk to this about. And I'm not going to get like, oh, bro, like, what are you doing? Like, I'm not going to go talk to a disappointed parent. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go talk to a friend and an advocate. And like, that's what people need. And I think sometimes in the church, like, our only focus is like, we got to get you back. We got to get you back. Right. And you're on the wrong path. And maybe they are, but like, look at how Christ dealt with people that weren't on the path at all. He just loved them, and he loved them immediately, and he loved them unequivocally. And there wasn't like, let's get you following me, and then I'm going to love you. You know, it was none of that. I love you now, you know?
So you touched on it perfectly. But just like another statement, is it our job to bring people back? Because like, you know, we're technically all disciples of Christ. We want people to come back. Is it our job to bring loved ones back, or are we just supposed to like you said, love? Like, how do you find the balance of bringing somebody back?
I think our job is to be there when they're ready to come back.
Dope.
And to be someone that can help them if they want help. Right? Because some people just need some friendship. They need some fellowship. And some people, you can visit their house every day. They're not going back, you know? But those people don't stop visiting, you know? It's our job to be their friend, right? It's our job to love them. And I think if you just focus on, okay, my job is to love these people, the rest will take care of itself. That's really your only job. Yeah. You know?
We can't put that pressure on ourselves either, because it will eat you alive. And it's literally, like I said before, like if they end up coming back, it's not going to be because of you. Like there's nothing you can do besides love and support them.
Even like take it a step further and say you have a friend that's like struggling with an addiction, and not even like a friend of the church. You just have a friend that's struggling with drug abuse or something. It's like, what can you do to get them off of that? you can be someone that loves them and someone that's there for them when they're ready to go to rehab, when they're ready to talk about their struggles, when they have hit their rock bottom and they need to call somebody. That's the friend you can be. Your job isn't to get them off of drugs.
Right.
You know?
How can we be that person?
I think it's just like any change in your life, it's a lot of micro decisions, right? A lot of small choices throughout your day. But yeah, it's just learning to, I think, look outside yourself and stop being so obsessed and consumed by your own issues, which is hard.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the lens with which you see the world is your own struggles. But if you just try to shift it a little bit and be like, how can I be a better friend today? How can I love today? How can I show a little bit more grace today? Then I think everything kind of falls in line. I don't think there's a formula to like how to be a better person or how to like increase fellowship or increase friendship. Like you just look, like if you open your eyes and look for opportunities to help people, they're nonstop.
Right.
You know,
right.
like, and a lot of times you do a little something and to you it means nothing, and to somebody it means the world, you know? And so but I think it's really hard to do that if you're kind of walking around with your eyes closed and you're just thinking about your next appointment, your next Instagram post, your next Stanley you're going to buy. You know, you're thinking more holistically. You're thinking about humanity. You're thinking of everyone as family and everyone as a potential friend instead of just some weird stranger.
And like you said, like going into church, it's not what can I get from this, but what can I do to benefit others? It ties perfectly in that. We just need to be looking for it because we'll find it.
Yeah, totally.
I love that.
Bars.
Anything else?
No, absolutely not.
Beautiful. Everything you're saying is like the poem you just read.
No,
you're so good with words, and like
Thank
this
you.
was such a great conversation. We cannot thank you enough
Yeah,
for
of
being
course.
here.
Yeah,
Thanks for
appreciate
teaching
it.
me today,
Yeah.
like for real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. And tell everyone where they can keep in touch with you, where your podcast is.
I only accept letters. I got a P.O. box.
Love letters.
Instagram's probably best. Taylor Church 44. My podcast is Of Stone and Clay with Taylor Church. All the other stuff is the same. YouTube, TikTok, Taylor Church 44. Yeah. Holler at your boy.
Holla at the boy
I
church.
can't wait to keep listening. Like, really, you're so insightful.
Thank you
and
so
so
much.
thank
Seriously.
you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Everyone, go follow Taylor everywhere. He's the best. And we will see you guys
Don't
next week.
physically follow me everywhere,
No. Yeah.
but some places is fine. Yeah.
Like where? Grocery store?
Yeah, just wherever.
Okay.
Yeah. Just choose your battles. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks,
Okay.
guys.
Thanks.